Hill land and sheep farming are traditional partners, but in some parts of Scotland, whole hillsides are now being planted in trees, and that's creating tensions between farmers and the foresters who are desperate for land.
I can see a situation where if there are whole farms being bought out and a succession of whole farms are being bought out, that could be potentially very damaging for the farming and the local communities from that perspective. That's not what we want to see.
On this particular farm, they'll sell probably over 1,000, well, certainly over 1,000 lambs. By the time these lambs leave Scotland, probably with a destination of France, it's probably worth £100,000 to the Scottish economy, which will be lost if it's planted in trees.
Driving the conflict is the Scottish Government's target of increasing forest cover from 17 to 25% of the country, requiring an extra 650,000 hectares turned over to woodlands. Inevitably, that's had a massive impact on land values.
Until 1 or 2 years ago, the land values in this area were probably somewhere between £100 and £300 an acre. But in the last 2, possibly 3 years, the values have shot up to, in some cases, over £1,000 an acre.
Isn't that a good thing?
It's a good thing if you're retiring and selling up. It's not a good thing if you're a young farmer and you would like to farm. Almost all of these rolling productive hill units are going to have to be planted with trees if the government is to achieve its 25%.
The Scottish Government has listened to concerns and established a woodland expansion advisory group to examine the competing demands for land. But even with high prices, private forestry companies are struggling to convince farmers to switch to forestry.
There can be problems. First of all, I think 40% of Scotland's farmland is tenanted, so you have an issue with how a tenant can actually plant trees on his farm and having to get the landlord's permission, etc. The remaining farmland, the big problem is single farm payment, annual payments, and also in a lot of cases LFAS, Less Favoured Area Support Scheme payments, which are annual payments, and there is concern if they plant trees on their farms, then these grants can be jeopardised in the future.
But for Scotland's £460 million forestry industry, getting more conifers planted is now a matter of urgency.
Well, the thing we're very worried about at the moment is that in about 20-25 years from now, there's going to be a falling away of the availability of wood, and we're not planting new forests. In fact, we're actually losing forests to things like wind farms. So what we're very keen to see is just in the short term is an increase in the area of planting of new forests. Practical terms, 9,000 hectares a year for say 10 years, so about 90,000 hectares of commercial conifer forestry would allow the sector to overcome this short-term problem. A lot of the land that we'd be looking for is hill land. There could be bracken land, for example. We want to do it in a way which fits as part of the farm holding itself.
The Forest Expansion Group will advise on the most appropriate land for tree planting by next June. And in the meantime, there's stalemate.
It's unfortunate what is happening is potentially whole farms going to forestry, whereas really the long-term intention should be to take whatever 20-30% of farm units into woodlands and sensible locations where it should be rather than wholesale farms. But the nature of the market is what it is.